Welcome to Practical Talk Time. I'm your host, Usha Kumar. Today I have with me a wonderful guest. He's been here before. He is a very lively and very interesting person to meet and to talk to. He has many interests. He's also a writer and a musician. So please join me in welcoming Rudy Behrens.
How do you do?
Hello, Rudy. Welcome to
Usha.
the show.
Yes, it's nice to be back.
It is such a pleasure to have you here.
You're so good.
You have so many interests. You've been a scientist before in your younger age.
Yep.
And all through life, you've kind of nurtured your interest in music.
Mm-hmm.
And still in your late 80s, you're still practicing playing piano and even performing.
And writing. Yeah.
So, you've been on my show before,
Yeah.
talking about chemistry. I think your passions, CHEM, C-H-E-M.
C-H-E.
That's an acronym
Yeah,
for
C-H-E.
chemistry,
Yeah.
humor, economics, and music.
You got it, right. You remember?
I remember that from
Yeah.
the last time you were here, and we did a few shows on chemistry and economics and so forth. Today, I really want to pick your brains on your interest in music, how that has evolved over time in your life, and then you can tell us about the signs of the times when you got into it and how things are right now.
We're going back to the Depression era when I was 8, 9 years old. My father and mother were both musical, and my grandmother was an opera singer that toured Europe in Germany. And so they figured maybe their kid had some musical talent. So my father asked me, would you like to play piano? And of course, it seemed like a toy to think about it. And he said, but if I get you a piano, you've got to practice an hour a day. And I said, oh yeah, sure, right?
That's what all parents say when they want to invest on.
And so he got me a old clunker upright, and I was practicing. It was novel, just like a toy with a kid, right? And then I came home one day with my baseball cap on and my glove, and I just finished playing baseball with the guys. And he said, did you practice today? I said, no, what could I say? I had to tell the truth. And so he dragged me by the ear to the round seat and got me on the piano. So I looked at the piano, and the piano looked back at me, and I thought, well, what are we going to do here? And I figured for an hour, I might as well make it fun, or turn it into something useful.
Did you take any lessons?
Oh yes, starting right away. And I had a series of teachers, and then in high school, I was able to be accepted by the Alexander Chiapinelli Pianoforte School of Music in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and he was extremely fussy. If he accepted you, he had 55 students altogether with other teachers. And then on Monday night, he'd bring in 3 professors from NYU, sight singing, sight reading, and composition. So it was a thorough training in classical music. When we did a concert, we had 800 people in the audience. There was no television or any other distractions, so people actually came out.
I must tell you, your voice does not show your age at all. Your diction is so perfect, and your voice is coming out so clearly. I bet it has a lot to do with your lively conversations.
Well, sometimes I wake up and I say, gee, how old am I? And I think, oh, I must have lied about my age, but no, it's the real one. Go to the VA, I'm a veteran of the Korean War, and they're very good there. And I was there a couple of weeks ago, and 2 different doctors said, we don't know what's wrong with you. You're too healthy for your age. So I'll take it and be happy.
Well, that's good.
I don't look for trouble.
Your humor coming out.
Well, that's that book I came up with. I guess there's a picture of it on that poster. Yeah.
The Philidioms.
Yeah.
And other thoughts to live and laugh by.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
When did you write that book?
Oh, it came out January on Amazon.
This
it
year.
was by Amazon.
Oh, I see.
And now
I
it's
think
in
the last time you came on the show, you said you had a couple of books on the way.
3, yeah.
Yeah, 3 books?
Well,
I
I'm
see.
still working. You're right. The second one is on the economy,
Okay.
actually, and which is very. Timing of that is getting to be excellent right now.
Okay.
When everybody, I think it's the calm before the storm, but
Yeah, that's a whole different
subject.
topic, and
Right.
we'll do that in
Yeah.
the next show.
Okay.
So right now we're back
Yes.
talking about music now.
Here I am. Okay, so I'm taking lessons, and I seem to be doing all right. And then I got into a big band, a 14-piece band, when I was 15 years old. That was the big band era. All the great names and bands were in their heyday at the time, and I thought that's where I'd go. I'd play in a big band.
Yeah, I also read somewhere that you entertained the troops during Korean War.
That came later. But anyway, I think it's important for somebody to know what happened. There was a strike, a union strike of musicians in New York City. And this
When was that?
1945. And this is when the reel tapes were invented. Germans, I think, invented them. The war was just over. And they went on strike, and the hotel owners and the nightclub owners said, why don't we just play these tapes? They're always perfect. They're great to listen to, and people eating dinner won't know the difference. So they did that, and it just broke the big band era within a year. Something like 80% of the big
the recorded
bands
music industry
were gone. They couldn't get a job. So the union really busted themselves up for that. So I decided, I was still going to high school, just taking chemistry, and I walked into the classroom. There's 35 kids in there, and mostly boys, and a woman. And I thought, gee, that's not Mr. Miller. He's the only chemistry teacher in our high school. Mm-hmm. And she sat down, and like our Miss Brooks, which was a show on television way back, who was a teacher, she had the book half open, and when we were seated, she said, I'm so-and-so, Mr. Miller's on long-term leave, and I have to tell you, I'm an English teacher. And I thought, this is not going to learn much chemistry. But she was so nice that we got together, the students, and helped her learn chemistry.
Oh my God.
It was a negative psychology. We read we were so anxious. The positive element in that was, I ended up thinking I got over the hump on learning. It takes a little while to get over that little hill, and then you're home free and you
Yes.
understand more.
Initially, chemistry is a difficult subject to learn.
It would be, but it's taught.
I had also wonderful teachers, so I ended up getting my degree in chemistry
Oh,
too.
there you go. So this was a very different way to get into it. And I decided yes, and especially with time as I was going. I went to undergraduate school at Rutgers, graduated 1950. Of course, that was very not far before the Korean War. It's June of 50 it started.
Gosh, that was way before I was born.
Oh, before most people are born.
Okay.
Yeah, and so.
So even in college, you were
playing
piano?
Yeah, there's a good story there maybe. I was in the Rutgers Glee Club. I'm poor, everybody's poor. And so the Glee Club was a big deal at Rutgers. At that time, with the first GI Bill veterans coming out of the Second World War, they only took about 25% of the high school graduates that year. And I
was in New Jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In New Brunswick, New Jersey, right, at the main campus. And so there's a line all the way around the block for people auditioning to get into the Glee Club. It took 2 days to audition, and I was, one of the 5 happiest days of my life, I think, was when they said, we like, your voice is good, we're going to take you into the Glee Club. And so that was huge for me. So what I did then even, was to go into the music house, and there's a piano, and it's an old mahogany-walled building, a former home of a wealthy person, a family, and played the piano, the big, beautiful piano. And so upstairs was Dr. McKinney, who's the head of the music department, and my piano playing, he could hear very clearly. And he got to know me with time, not personally at all, mostly the Glee Club director, interfaced with him.
So when you graduated, you still went to work as a chemist, use your chemistry rather than be a musician?
Yeah, it was clear that I was going to make a living
Anyway, you said because of the recording industry, it was
I have to tell you quickly, though, about Dr. McKinney.
Oh, sure.
He was a close friend of Albert Schweitzer, the very famous doctor, organist, actually won the Nobel Prize for Peace, and had his practice in Africa. And he would come visit at Rutgers, and Dr. McKinney, and so forth. So Dr. McKinney was one of the best known of the day in university circles in music. And so, okay, I'm playing the piano. One time, there's a pocket door to get in to this big room I'm in. He opens the pocket door with a smile on his face, and he sees me and he knows me. And so he closes the pocket door quietly, and I don't hear from him. In 2 weeks, though, I was invited into the music club, which is 10 students throughout the university, hand-picked, to go to Dr. McKinney's house and have his cook gives us Sunday dinner, and we spend the afternoon discussing concert series and music in general. And I was, kind of dumb. I didn't realize that it was so soon after he saw that I was playing whatever, and what I was playing was improvised. It was all created then. And I could never repeat it, but that's what I do. But it's based on a lot of training of music, classical, and then of course you pick up things like jazz and it's the old standards and so forth.
See, so it was after your retirement that you started doing performances again?
No. Piano? Well, it was on and off. The next move, of course, when I graduated, I was draft bait, and I decided to join the Navy and become a hospital corpsman because the war was pretty serious, and I didn't want to get killed, or not killed, but I didn't want to kill anybody, and I figured, I'll get into the medical area.
You obviously have excellent survival instinct.
Yeah, well, that was the worst thing I could have done because I didn't realize until 5.5 months of training in hospital as a hospital corpsman in my class of 50 students. I didn't realize that the Marines didn't have their own medics, and so they transferred or they shipped us to the Fleet Marines and shipped to the Korea. And out of my class of 50 students, 18 were killed, and most of the rest were wounded, and they pulled one guy out because he played the piano. So
we
literally,
should remember them this Veterans Day.
Yeah, so literally the piano saved my life. And I still...
Oh, that's a wonderful story to say.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I have the memories of these guys, and that'll never go away. And who did make it back? Good kids, 18-year-old, 19, 20-year-old kids. No war is worth anything unless you're defending yourself.
Yes, don't you think? So I'm hearing that a lot from people who've been in different wars.
Yeah.
They really don't want any more wars.
No.
Don't want any more sending young people to get killed.
Right, for no reason.
Yeah.
One dictator. Better to send some group there to kill the dictator. That'd be more efficient.
I see. You and your wife, you've been quite philanthropic.
Oh,
and you've
well, yeah.
instituted some scholarship in the local Western Connecticut State University
Yeah.
for music students.
This may not be a good thing to publish, but I think it's true.
Well,
music students today, as I didn't get into the business and I became a research manager later on, these kids, to me, have a very low chance of getting a job in music. And so at least what we can do is help them not owe any money at the end of this, because if they end up owing money and can't get a job, that's a double negative. And that's, to me, is really sad. And
I feel music is more a reward for the soul.
You're right.
Rather than
at this concert, all the kids were there. There's 171 music majors, which is
so
a
recently you participated in that concert at the Visual and Performing Arts Center in
October
Wisconsin.
7th, right.
That was on October 7th.
Yes,
okay?
and all the music students have to be there. So
I see. So you had a good audience.
I had 171 of them and maybe 60, 80, I don't know how many others from outside. The public was invited. It was free. And
you played the piano?
Oh, yeah. I played for 25 minutes.
Okay.
This is all, again, original music. And the piece was called Three Moods. The first mood is classical. Now, this is classical style. And it's arrangements of not all one piece, but several together and blended to, and apparently that's what I do.
To me, it's amazing that you're able to play the piano, and recently, in the last couple of decades, your eyesight has been failing you.
Well, it failed 23 years ago and hasn't gotten worse.
Legally blind?
And it hasn't gotten better, but and that's the.
And you can't see the keys.
Not much. And if I get my nose up, I can see generally, because you can see the black from the white.
I see.
Right, and get a bearing. And
so it's all the more amazing that the music is in your head and it's in your muscles, whatever, in your memory, and you're able to still play it, enjoy it, and let others enjoy your music.
And I've done this since I started learning music. Well, and teachers would say, it's good, but you've got to first learn the basics and try not to create, maybe as a sidelight, as cherry on the ice cream or something, but study and learn the chords. And I took all the courses in music and learned the different chords and how they blend together and the sounds. And if you do enough of this, eventually you get muscle memory, or I don't know what it is. In my case, it seems to be a strength I have, and I play at different affairs, especially as cocktail piano, and people there, of course, are not listening too closely, so it's not like being in the concert. That's why this concert got me a little nervous.
I see. You still got a standing ovation for that.
Yeah, I can't believe everybody stood and clapped like crazy. It was wonderful. God, what a legacy in a sense for me. By the way, the first part was classic in the Three Moods. To finish that, the Three Moods was classical, and then I paused, and they knew not to clap, and then I went into jazz, but not what I call the acrobatic jazz, which is the faster you play, the more people are impressed by how fast you play. But it's not music to me. It's more the old-fashioned jazz.
I see.
And then the third part is called romantic.
Oh, okay.
And there I started with one of the songs I composed.
So 3 different genres.
And again, a pause in each section.
So that makes it not boring.
Yeah.
For the audience.
Well, yeah. Yes. Well, it was only 25 minutes. It wasn't like I was playing an hour and a half at one time. And then I talked for 25 minutes with the dean sitting in one, like you and me now.
I see.
The dean's asking me questions, and I'm bringing up the history and things that were especially directed at the students, but they wouldn't have to waste time going through as I did and learn early in life, so they have a head start. Some will pick up on it, and others will probably not. But
so, what was your key advice to the students, music students?
Well, the inference was that if you're, I think I even mentioned it, if you're a music major, which they are, how much of a living can you do playing the clarinet all your life? In a time when there's fewer than 3% DVD, as an example, 3% DVDs sold to anybody in the country on the subject of classical music, and less than 3% of the jazz music, which is what is now limited to all the colleges in the country. There's only one jazz orchestra left, I think in San Francisco, that's not associated with a university. So that's where the jazz is now. Again, it's.
I love to listen to jazz.
Well, it depends on what kind.
I really like the way it flows and the way it moves and changes.
Well,
with
if you go to a concert at WestCon, and they have some excellent people, top-notch people coming there, and even teachers are excellent in that department, you'll find that the faster they play, the more people like it. And when they have a group, there was sort of a tongue-in-cheek thing I said to the new dean, music. I said, "Gee, this concert was terrific." He said, "I said one was playing faster than the other," and he said, "Yeah, wasn't that great?" And I was thinking to myself, "Is that music? How fast?"
It's interesting that you mentioned this, because I'm hearing the same complaint from veteran musicians from the Indian classical music. And they're saying the newcomers want the faster music, and they think just jamming it all in is the way to go, and they think that is good music, and unfortunately it's not.
But the Bollywood dancers can't dance that fast. But it's wonderful.
No, Bollywood dancing is not classical music.
Talk about
Bollywood music is not classical.
No.
Sometimes the tunes are loosely based on classical tunes, but they are not.
Oh, I know. I'm only.
So I'm hearing that, and I find that, if you've noticed, current TV shows even, they speak so fast you cannot even follow what they're saying.
Well, in some cases it's true. Another example of this, faster paced life, I don't know, but the debating clubs throughout the universities. We had one group come from England, Cambridge, of all places, to WestCon, and they had a debate. And so I'm sitting in the audience trying to listen, and they were talking so fast. And the reason they do that, and that's the way they're supposed to do it, apparently.
Yeah, because they have a time constraint. They want to put out as many points as possible.
But you can't assimilate it that much. And it was really meant to keep the opposite side from being able to analyze and go back at them.
The youngsters seem to like it. The younger generation seems to like the faster pace.
Well, they seem to be. I don't know, I haven't been to any debates lately, but at this one debate, I said, I shouldn't have done this, but I did. Slow down. I'm realizing that's what they're supposed to do, and they don't know any different. But, if someone wants to sell you something, and that's what they're doing, selling their point against the other guys to the audience, you need some comma in there once in a while, breathe a little bit, and I don't understand still.
Rudy, you are an inspiration to a lot of people my age and younger, because you have used music to keep alive, basically.
It helps.
Keeps you so lively, it keeps you sharp, keeps you young, and I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but maybe we should have the scientific community research a little bit more on the effect of music and practicing music on the health of a person. I know I teach some, classical music sometimes to people who want. And I find that when they start to learn classical music, their minds get sharper, they do better at school.
Yeah, and there's some association with math, but I was good in math, but I didn't think about that. And I'm not sure how true that is.
That's why we need proper research to be done. And then if someone has the answer, we'll have them on our show. We only have 2 minutes left. So is there anything you'd like to add to our audience regarding music and your love of music?
Well, I went through life, and I have a piano that's one of the best in the world, and it cost me the price of 2 new compact cars back then in 1985, and I feel like a cowboy and his horse with that piano. It's such a consolation to know I can get on there. And we have a lot of land and so forth, and I open up the casement windows in the spring and summer, and the birds are quiet out there. When I start playing, the birds are all singing. So that's my audience mostly, and I appreciate that a lot. I'm a nature guy anyway. So yes, I would say that for any of those that at least listen to music or make the effort to have it relax your moods, it's a mood changer, no question. And association with all the standard songs that you lived with and grew up with, that is your section of music that will nurture you throughout life. Other, later generations will have their own music that will nurture them. And so there's always going to be music. Thank goodness.
Thank you, Rudy.
Yeah.
Also, we have to thank your wife, Mary. She's another bright and lively person.
Oh, God, she's bright,
and she drives you around everywhere to make this all possible.
More than that, right. Stimulation as well.
Thank you. Yeah. And so please stay with me, and we'll do another show on economics.
All right, great.
Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this show. And until next time, goodbye. Be sure to tune in next week.
Okay.